in this position, what I've found to be most prevalent in professional games is the attach. And as we spoke about in the previous video, it's superior to this move because it puts more it does the same thing. It covers the cut indirectly. The cut can still be made, but white doesn't get as much. Mm-hmm. So it indirectly covers the cut, and it also attaches to this single white stone. Now, if you're probably around 15 to 18Q, the level that we're kind of aiming these videos at, you probably know the principle of you don't attach to a weak stone. This is one of those instances where this stone isn't exactly weak. It's flexible. There's a difference between weakness and flexibility. So this stone has options to do stuff. And this is superior because it keeps Sente. Sente is really important. If you can keep Sente in the opening, you're going to be way ahead by the time middle game shows up. Mm-hmm. So if you can keep, then this move keeps Sente because white can't ignore it. I mean, we talked about it a little bit, but let's discuss it a little bit more.
Right. And I think, I don't know how you feel about this, but I feel like the thing about, the reason why I think it's not good to attach to a weak stone is because the weak stone then gets not only to outnumber you on the next move, so you're constantly playing catch-up in strength, but it gets to dictate the choices. It gets to choose, for example, which side to block or which side to extend. Now you're putting all the control.
You're giving white the option.
You're giving white, not only are you moving into an area where he's already got a stone and you don't, but now you're saying everything that happens locally, you're going to be the one who's one move ahead when it comes to making the choices. The reason why that's not such a big deal here, I think, is because, like you said, this stone is not as weak as it seems, partially because of these, partially because of its proximity to the edge of the board, but also, even though it does have the flexibility to respond in several different ways, none of those ways are particularly any better than any others.
They're not great.
So so the cost to you by giving white choices isn't as great in this scenario. So I don't know how you feel about that.
No, I agree. For example, white's move here is probably to stand up on the fourth line.
Right.
And notice, I mean, this is a good move. It's a solid standard move. Otherwise, if white doesn't do that, black gets this move and dictates the rest of white's movements. So white probably will do this. But notice that black has taken care of his group over here now. So now, this potential that white built can be negated by a move like this. White has no option to extend here to an ideal position. Right. One of the principles that we talked about before is if you have two stones on the third line, you want to extend three spaces. 1, 2, 3. This is ideal. But here, there's already a stone kind of in the way. So black can immediately do this.
Right. You force white to attach to a weak stone.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So because the punchline is that because this move was Sente and white had to respond to it, black can then take the next most important move, which might be, depending on how your board looks, this move, negating any potential territory here.
Right. Right. So defends while maintaining Sente is the gist of it there. And I think that's where it stops. Yeah,
so I mean we've already kind of talked about what everybody gets, but let's discuss it in more detail.
Right.
Black gets a fairly solid group. There is potential. I mean, I'm not not going to lie. There's potential here for bad stuff,
problems,
but not a lot, because if white cuts there, white's going to cut there again. He gets the corner. Oh, that is interesting. This is why we're still Q players, folks. That is interesting.
I don't know about that. Well, I mean, that lives.
Yeah,
I mean, it's slow, but it lives.
Yeah.
Right. So.
I don't know. That this is worthy of more discussion, I think. There is these peeps later. So these things require responses, which could negate any influence here. But yeah, that's interesting. White gets a corner. Mm-hmm. Maybe this is better for white. Ignore everything we've said.
All right.
So where were we? What happened? Oh yeah.
This. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when white stands up, black can either fill here if he's worried about that thing that we just found out, or he can take some larger move, maybe here or here. Mm-hmm. I still think that if white cuts here, black can live, and it's not a disaster, especially considering the sente that black still has. Nevertheless, as I said before, this is the professional move, and hey, we're not professionals, so this might be above our pay grade, but this is the move that most professionals make for the reason we think that it keeps sente.
Right. All right.
Yeah.